Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everyone. Last time, we left with a question hanging in the air. Shannon and Weaver gave us a straight line. Sender, channel, receiver. A message fired like a bullet toward a target. Laswell gave us a checklist, but something was missing. Something every one of you already knows from your own life. Communication, reciprocity. So today we ask, what happens when the line becomes a circle? We move forward a few years into the 1950s. Television is entering American living rooms. Cold War tensions are shaping how governments think about persuasion, propaganda, and public opinion. And in the middle of this moment stands Wilbur Schramm, often called the founding father of communication as an academic discipline. Schramm wasn't working alone in spirit. He was building on Norbert Wiener's cybernetics, the science of feedback and self-regulating systems, and on Charles Osgood's work in psycholinguistics. Together, their ideas gave rise to what we now call the Osgood-Schramm circular model. Here's the shift, and it's a profound one. Schramm got rid of the role. Instead of sender and receiver as fixed, separate roles, Schramm proposed that both parties are simultaneously encoding, interpreting, and decoding. He called them interpreters. Person A sends a message. Person B decodes it, interprets it, and encodes a response. That response becomes a new message, flowing back to A. Round and round it goes. And crucially, Schramm introduced the idea of shared field of experience. Communication only truly succeeds in the overlap between what the sender knows and what the receiver knows. Where those circles of experience don't overlap, meaning breaks down. No matter how clear the signal sociologically, this is a quiet revolution. Shannon and Weaver's model mirrored a hierarchical society. Institution speaks, public listens. Schramm's secular model mirrors something close to a democratic relational society, one where meaning is negotiated, not delivered. Think about what this implies for institutions. A government, a teacher, a company can no longer assume a message simply lands. They must consider the audience's field of experience, their culture, their background, their social position. Communication becomes a shared social act, not one-way broadcast. This is the seed of ideas that later scholars would grow into audience reception theory and participatory communication. Psychologically, this model is a major departure from behaviorism black box. Schramm and Osgood, drawing on psycholinguistics, asks us to look inside that box. After all, the concept of field of experience is fundamentally cognitive. It assumes people interpret messages through the lens of memory, prior knowledge, culture, and emotion. Two people can receive the exact same words and construct entirely different meanings from them because their internal reference points different. That opens the door to psychological concepts like schema and perception that dominate communication psychology to this day. But even the secular model has its limits. It still assumes a fairly balanced two-person exchange. But what about group communication or mass media reaching millions at once? A feedback loop between two people doesn't scale easily to a television broadcast. Reaching an entire nation, it also still leans on a fairly rational, almost mechanical idea of encoding and decoding, as if meaning is a package, you wrap and unwrap, rather than something actively constructed, argued over, or resisted. And it says little about power, about who gets to define the shared field of experience. In the first place, especially when sender and receiver come from unequal social positions. That critique would soon come from critical theorists and the Frankfurt School. So why does charm circle still matter today? Because every interface used today is built on this feedback principle. A comment section, a like button, read receipt, a typing indicator, these are all engineered feedback loops, quite literally turning Shannon's straight line into Schramm's circle at massive digital scale. Even AI chatbots conversations like this one are a live demonstration of the Osgood-Schramm model. You send a message, I interpret it through a field of experience built from data and training. I respond, you react, and the loop continues. Schramm's 50s sketch of two people talking anticipated without knowing the entire architecture of modern conversational interfaces. So we've come from a straight line to a circle, from a passive receiver to an active interpreter, from a message that simply arrives to a meaning that must be built together. But even Schramm's circle has a blind spot. It still treats communication as something happening mostly between individuals exchanging discrete messages. It doesn't yet ask a bigger question. What happens when the self itself is built through communication? What happens when identity, not just information, is what's being exchanged? That question belongs to our next thinkers, the symbolic interactionists.